Did you know there is a specific mushroom that scientific studies show can boost lifespan by 30%? And it is probably not the one you are picturing. We are talking about magic mushrooms. That is right, psilocybin, joining a handful of other fungi that scientists are starting to call nature's ultimate anti-aging medicine. In July of 2025, an incredible study from Emory University and Baylor College of Medicine dropped some massive news. They discovered that psilocybin, the main active ingredient in these psychedelic fungi, boosted the survival rate of older mice by an impressive 30%. But the really amazing part is that these mice did not just survive longer, they actually looked and acted younger. They thrived, developing thicker coats, showing fewer grey hairs, and even growing entirely new fur. Keep in mind, these were not young pups. They started the treatment at 19 months old, which is basically the mouse equivalent of a human in their early 60s. Dr. Ali John Zarabi, who leads psychedelic research at Emory, pointed out that this gives us solid early proof that psilocybin does more than just tack extra years onto a life. It actually promotes healthier aging and a much better quality of life in our golden years. This is massive when you realize there are already over 150 clinical trials either finished or currently running that look into psilocybin for various health issues. But magic mushrooms are not the only ones shaking up the longevity space. A whole variety of fungi are demonstrating wild life-boosting abilities across different types of animals. For example, some research shows lion's mane can bump up lifespan by 32%. Reishi, which ancient cultures literally called the mushroom of immortality, pushed fruit fly lifespans out by more than 42%. And cordyceps gave mice an extra 66 days of life at specific doses. When we look at things on a microscopic level, the results are even crazier. Scientists took human skin and lung cells and exposed them to psilocin, which is what psilocybin turns into once it is processed by your body. The lifespan of those cells shot up by more than 50%. Lung cells took 57% longer to age and break down, and skin cells saw a 51% boost. This was not just some minor fluke in a petri dish either. A whopping 80% of the mice who got the treatment survived the whole length of the study, while only half of the untreated mice made it to the end. Dr. Louise Hecker, a lead researcher on the psilocybin project at Baylor, pointed out something incredibly important. Even though they started giving the mice this compound late in their lives, it still heavily boosted their survival chances, offering real hope for healthy aging in humans. This totally flips the old idea that you have to start anti-aging treatments when you are young for them to actually work. So how is this actually working? It comes down to what scientists call the hallmarks of aging. Psilocybin seems to kickstart something called SIRT1. This is a crucial regulator that has been shown to boost lifespan across various species when its activity is turned up. On top of that, it helps protect your telomeres. Think of telomeres as the little protective plastic caps at the end of your shoelaces. But for your chromosomes, they naturally shrink as we get older. But while normal cells saw their telomeres get shorter as they aged, the cells treated with psilocin managed to maintain their length. This is actually the very first time we have seen real lab evidence backing up what experts are calling the psilocybin telomere hypothesis. Dr. Kosuke Ko, also from Baylor, mentioned that we are really just scratching the surface of how psilocybin affects the biology of aging. If these results hold up, it could unlock a completely new way to boost our overall health span and quality of life. But let us look at the other stars in this fungal anti-aging lineup. Lion's mane mushrooms are packed with compounds called Erinacines, which are incredible for protecting your brain. When researchers gave specific amounts of lion's mane to fruit flies, the males lived 23% longer and the females got a 30% boost. We saw similar leaps in mice too, with females jumping 18% and males 20% at the optimal doses. What is so cool about all this is how consistent the results are. It does not matter if you are looking at tiny roundworms, fruit flies, or mice. Different mushroom extracts keep proving they can extend life. Because it works across so many different species, it proves this is not just some weird lab glitch. Then there is reishi. This mushroom has been a staple in traditional Chinese medicine for 2,000 years. Its traditional name, Lingzhi, basically translates to a mix of spiritual power and immortality. And today, modern science is backing up that ancient knowledge. Reishi extracts have pushed the lifespan of male fruit flies by more than 42%, and females by almost 30%, depending on the dose. Cordyceps is another mind-blowing example. This is that famous parasitic fungus that grows on bugs, and it has a massive impact on how our cells produce energy. Taking cordyceps actually activated sirtuins. Those are the exact same anti-aging proteins that get triggered when you restrict your calories. One specific protein, SIRT1, jumped by 33%. SIRT3 went up 10%, and SIRT6 skyrocketed by an amazing 72%. In some trials, the oldest surviving mice taking cordyceps lived an extra 200 days. Driving a lot of these benefits is a specific compound that top biochemist Dr. Bruce Ames actually dubbed a longevity vitamin. It is called Ergothioneine. This unique amino acid is found almost entirely in fungi and a handful of other microbes. Mushrooms are hands down the best way to get it in your diet. Interestingly, your body actually has a special delivery system built just for this compound. It pulls ergothioneine from your food, puts it in your red blood cells, and ships it straight to the tissues in your body that are under the most stress. The human research on ergothioneine is super convincing. A huge Swedish study tracked over 3,200 people for more than 2 decades. They found that people with higher levels of this compound in their blood had a heavily reduced risk of heart disease and overall mortality. Another massive review of nearly 62,000 people showed that eating mushrooms regularly was tied to a lower risk of dying from any cause. Dr. Robert Beelman from Penn State, who has spent years studying this, confirmed that mushrooms are easily the #1 dietary source of these crucial antioxidants. Certain varieties are absolutely loaded with both ergothioneine and another powerful antioxidant called glutathione. This is a big deal because the average American only gets about 1.1 milligrams of ergothioneine a day. Compare that to Italians, who get 4.6 milligrams. And in Japan, people eat about 15 grams of mushrooms every day, which is triple what we eat in the US. So how do these fungi actually pull this off? They use a few different, really clever strategies. A lot of them kickstart a process called autophagy, which is basically your cell's built-in recycling system that clears out old, damaged parts. For example, special carbs found in reishi mushrooms help those tiny worms live longer, specifically by turning on this cellular cleanup crew. Other mushrooms tackle aging by fighting off stress. Cordyceps boosts the lifespan of fruit flies by ramping up antioxidant enzymes and cutting down on cellular damage. We are already starting to see these ideas tested on humans too. Over in Singapore, a study showed that people who ate more than 2 servings of mushrooms a week cut their chances of developing mild cognitive decline by 47%. There was also a really interesting pilot trial where older adults dealing with mild memory issues took an ergothioneine supplement for a whole year. Their bodies handled it perfectly, and they actually showed slight improvements on memory tests. Plus, their brain health stopped deteriorating. But it is not all perfectly smooth sailing. Skeptics are quick to point out that what works in a mouse does not always translate to us. The amount of psilocybin used in those animal tests is absolutely massive when you convert it to human terms. The dose given to the mice would be like a 60-kilogram person taking about 72 milligrams every single month. In typical medical trials today, they only use about 25 milligrams, and taking 50 milligrams is what the psychedelic community calls a hero dose. So, the mouse treatment is basically taking a massive hero dose once a month for years on end. Top longevity experts, like Dr. Peter Attia, have also warned that while these results look amazing at first glance, the underlying reasoning might be a bit flawed. Across the animal kingdom, having long telomeres does not automatically mean you live longer. Mice have much longer telomeres than we do, but they only live for a few years. Plus, there are real safety concerns. If you take too much psilocybin or misuse it, it can cause lasting mental health problems. We are talking about lingering anxiety, paranoia, or even visual glitches long after the trip is over, especially for people who are already prone to mental health struggles. There is still a big gap in what we know about how this affects humans. We have lots of exciting data from cells and animals, but human studies are still catching up. Experts warn that these anti-aging effects are likely going to be subtle. Do not expect them to completely stop the clock on aging or magically cure your brain. Think of mushrooms as helpful sidekicks, not the main superhero of healthy aging. Even with those hurdles, the science is moving at lightning speed. The FDA has already labeled psilocybin a breakthrough therapy for treating depression, which shows it can be used safely under the right conditions. Emory University is busy with major clinical trials for psilocybin therapies, looking closely at how it affects older adults systemically. Meanwhile, the anti-aging industry has exploded past the $500 million mark, and fungi are grabbing a massive piece of that pie. Biotech companies are racing to isolate and concentrate these longevity compounds into new treatments. What makes all of this so exciting is how it blends ancient traditions with cutting-edge science. For thousands of years, Asian cultures respected certain mushrooms as keys to a long life. They literally called reishi the herb of spiritual power, linking it to divine energy and immortality. Now, we finally have the microscopic evidence to explain exactly why they believed that. The timeline of these discoveries is accelerating too. Ergothioneine was first spotted way back in 1909, but major longevity studies really took off in the 2000s, leading to massive reviews in 2023 and 2024. That landmark psilocybin study from July 2025 is just the latest, massive leap forward. Looking to the future, this goes way beyond just taking a new daily vitamin. If we can get the dosage right and make these compounds safe for humans, it could totally change how we handle getting older. Instead of just accepting that our bodies will inevitably break down, we might actually have the tools to stay energetic and healthy for much longer. The research tells us we need to tackle aging from multiple angles, from protecting telomeres and clearing out dead cells, to lowering stress and improving how our cells talk to each other. Since different fungi target different parts of the aging process, combining them might be the ultimate cheat code. As we step into this new era of what you could call mycological medicine, we are seeing psychedelic science and longevity research team up in a way no one expected. The evidence keeps piling up that fungi might just be nature's most advanced anti-aging technology. As we keep unlocking their secrets and figuring out how to use them safely, we might just find that the fountain of youth was hiding right beneath our feet on the forest floor this whole time. If you found this deep dive into the science of mushrooms fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos on the cutting edge of human health and longevity. See you in the next one.